The planet Serath was dying. Once it had oceans that shimmered like liquid glass, forests that sang in the wind. Now only smoke and fire filled the horizon. The air burned with dust. The ground cracked open like broken mirrors. Ships screamed across the sky, leaving trails of blue flame as they carried the last survivors away. Commander Ryan Hale stood in the ruins of what was once a research outpost. His suit was covered in ash, the visor cracked. He looked around at the destruction. The silence between explosions louder than anything he had ever heard. "Last scan," he ordered quietly. "Then we leave." But the scanner in his hand beeped once, faint but steady, a life signal, weak and fading. Somewhere beneath the rubble, Ryan's heart thumped. Every minute the planet's atmosphere grew thinner. More toxic, he should have turned back. But something in that signal pulled him forward. He climbed over twisted metal and burned walls until he found her. An alien woman lay trapped beneath a fallen support beam. Her skin was pale blue, veins glowing softly under the dim light. Her breathing was shallow, her pulse barely there. Ryan dropped to his knees. Pulling at the metal with all his strength, the beam refused to move. He activated his exo-arm, gears whirring, and the steel finally lifted with a groan. He dragged her free and laid her gently on the ground. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly like stars seen through water. She tried to speak, but her voice broke into gasps. Ryan pressed a translator device to her chest. Her words came through in broken English. "Please, help me." He looked at his wrist display. Her vitals were collapsing. She was dying fast, her body temperature dropping, her heart slowing. "Medbay." "I've got a survivor," Ryan called through his comm. Static answered him. The signal lost in the storm. He tried again. Louder. "Repeat, survivor found. Need evac." Still nothing. He looked down at the alien again. Her hand reached weakly toward him, fingers trembling. Her voice cracked through the translator. "I will die, without bond." Ryan frowned. "What bond?" he asked. Her eyes filled with tears, glowing brighter as she whispered, "My kind. We share life through connection. Without a mate, the body ends." Her breathing hitched. "I have no one." The translator stuttered. The words heavy and strange. Ryan shook his head. He didn't understand their biology, but he understood the sound of someone giving up. He ripped open his medical kit, injected stabilizers. Nothing worked. Her heartbeat faded even faster. Her hand slipped from his wrist. "Stay with me," he said quickly, his voice rising. "Don't you close your eyes." She looked at him with glassy fear. "You can save me," she whispered. "Link your life to mine." Ryan froze. His ship had a neural link device for emergency communication. It could sync minds, share signals, sometimes even heartbeat rhythms. It wasn't meant for cross-species contact. If he tried, it could fry his brain. He looked at her face, pale and trembling. Then he looked at the sky, the fire, the empty world around them. There was no time. He pulled the neural connector from his suit. "Don't make me regret this," he muttered. He placed one end over her chest and the other to the back of his neck. The device beeped once, then screamed with static. Ryan felt lightning rush through his veins. His vision blurred, the world spinning. Memories not his own flooded in. Flashes of an alien city, a family, a child laughing, a sky full of crystal birds. He gasped as pain burned through his skull. The alien woman arched her back, light pouring from her eyes and mouth. Then suddenly everything went quiet. The storm outside stopped, the fire dimmed. Ryan's heart pounded against his chest. He looked down. Her eyes were open, calm, alive. Her glow had steadied, her breathing normal again. He tried to disconnect, but the device refused. The light between them pulsed like a heartbeat. "One pulse, two hearts, one rhythm," she whispered softly. "You did it." Ryan's voice was hoarse. "I think we're both still alive." She gave a small, tired smile. "You saved me," she whispered. Then her expression changed, fear and awe mixing in her glowing eyes. "But now, we are one." Ryan blinked. "What does that mean?" he asked. Before she could answer, the ground shook violently. The sky cracked with red lightning as the last reactor of the planet exploded in the distance. He lifted her into his arms and ran toward his ship. Rocks and fire rained from above, the earth splitting open beneath his feet. She clung to his armor weakly, whispering something in her own language. He couldn't understand it, but the link in his mind carried the meaning clearly. "Please don't let go." He burst through the wreckage toward the landing pad. His ship waited, battered but intact. Engines whining, he jumped aboard, hitting the launch controls. The planet's crust erupted beneath them, fire chasing the ship into the sky as they rose. The alien girl opened her eyes again and looked at him, her voice trembling. "You gave me life." Ryan exhaled heavily. Sweat rolling down his face, he looked at her and said quietly, "Then don't waste it." The ship broke through the clouds as the planet died behind them, the blue light of their link still glowing faintly between them. Two lives tied together, two hearts now beating as one, neither of them yet knowing that this connection, born from desperation and would soon shake the stars themselves. The Solace One drifted through black space, far from the burning planet below. Inside the cabin, the air was still heavy with heat and silence. Commander Ryan Hale sat in the pilot's seat, breathing hard, his armor still glowing faintly where the neural link had burned through. Across from him, the alien girl lay on the med bed, her skin shining like liquid light, her pulse strong but strange. For a long time, he just watched her, trying to understand what had happened. Every few seconds, a small blue spark flickered between them. Jumping from her skin to his hand, it didn't hurt. It felt warm, alive. He reached up to check the connector on his neck, but the device was gone, melted into his suit. The bond was no longer a tool, it was inside him. The ship's computer spoke softly. "Warning, pilot vitals irregular," Ryan sighed. "Yeah, tell me something I don't know," the girl stirred, her eyes opening slowly, bright as morning stars. For a moment she looked afraid, then her gaze softened when she saw him. "You stayed," she whispered through the translator. Ryan nodded. "Couldn't exactly leave you there." She touched her chest and frowned. "I feel..." "You?" Ryan froze. "What do you mean? Feel me?" She hesitated, pressing her hand over her heart. "When you breathe, I breathe. When you hurt, I feel it too." Before he could answer, pain flared behind his eyes, a flash, an image not his own. A child running through silver fields, laughter echoing under twin moons. He blinked and the vision vanished. "What was that?" he whispered. She looked at him with tears forming. "My memory," she said quietly. "You saw what I lost." He sat back, the realization sinking deep. Their thoughts, emotions, maybe even souls were crossing. The translator flickered as she spoke again. "Humans cannot survive the bond. Your mind will break." Ryan gave a small, tired smile. "Guess we'll find out." Hours passed as the ship moved toward orbit. Ryan tried to rest, but every time he closed his eyes, he felt her heartbeat inside his chest. When she shivered, he felt cold. When she whispered in her sleep, he heard her voice echoing through his thoughts. At first it scared him, then it didn't, because the feeling that filled the spaces between their minds wasn't pain. It was connection. Later she sat up weakly and looked around the cabin. "What is this place?" she asked. "My ship," he said. "My home. At least until I crash it." She smiled faintly, a strange shimmer crossing her face. "Your home smells like metal and smoke," he laughed under his breath. "Yeah. Welcome to humanity." The laughter faded as alarms blinked on the console. Fuel cells damaged, oxygen leaking slowly. Ryan checked the readings and sighed. "Of course," he muttered. She tilted her head. "We are not safe." "No," he said, "we're not." She looked at him seriously. "You risked your life once. Do not do it again for me." He turned to her, meeting her glowing eyes. "Too late for that. We're connected now." She shook her head, her voice trembling. "If you die, the bond will tear apart my mind." "Then I guess we both have a reason to stay alive," he said softly. Moments later, another image flashed in his head. A ruined temple, voices shouting in her language, the words heavy with fear. He saw her standing alone as others turned away. When the vision ended, he understood. She had been cast out for being unbonded, incomplete in her people's eyes. That's why she'd been alone on the planet. That's why she'd begged him. Ryan stood and walked closer to her. "You were abandoned," he said quietly. Her eyes widened. "How did you—" "I saw it," he said. Tapping his temple, she turned away ashamed. "They said I was born wrong. My body could not find balance with another." Ryan nodded slowly. "And now it found balance with me." She looked up sharply. "You are human. It should not be possible." He shrugged. "Maybe possible doesn't matter anymore." Silence filled the room again, broken only by the soft hum of the engines. Outside the windows, the stars drifted by like glowing dust. She finally spoke, her voice gentle. "What will happen to us now?" Ryan stared into the void. First, he said, we find somewhere safe. Then we figure out how to live with this. She nodded slowly. Your name, she whispered. Ryan, he answered. And you? Karen, she said, the sound musical even through the translator. For the first time since the fire, they both smiled. It was small, fragile but real. Ryan leaned back in his chair. Exhaustion creeping in, he closed his eyes, and this time, instead of pain, he felt warmth. Karen's voice brushed against his mind like wind. Thank you, Ryan Hale, she whispered. He didn't answer out loud, but through the bond she felt his thought clearly. You're welcome, Karen. Outside the ship, the dying planet faded into darkness. Two heartbeats pulsed together in rhythm. One human, one alien, bound by accident, or maybe by something greater. Neither of them knew that others were already watching from the shadows of space, and that their impossible bond had just become the most dangerous secret in the galaxy. The stars above Sarath's ruins were quiet, but silence never lasted long in a galaxy full of fear. The moment Ryan Hale's ship left orbit, the signal was already seen, a human's heartbeat, pulsing in perfect sync with an alien life form. It spread through scanners and networks like wildfire, and in the cold palaces of power it was called by one name, the Forbidden Bond, inside the Solace One. Ryan had no idea his name was now echoing across half the galaxy. He focused only on keeping the ship alive. Wires sparked, engines coughed. Oxygen systems flickered like dying stars. Karen sat beside him. Her glowing hands pressed against the console. Her energy pulsed through the metal, repairing systems she didn't understand. Don't ask me how I'm doing this, she whispered. Ryan smiled faintly. Not asking, just grateful. For hours they drifted through deep space. Ryan tried to sleep, but every time he closed his eyes, he saw flashes of her thoughts. A temple filled with blue fire, a council of elders speaking words heavy with judgment. The phrase repeated in his mind again and again. To bond with another is sacred. To bond with the unworthy is death. He woke in a cold sweat. Karen was watching him quietly, her expression full of sorrow. You saw it, she said softly. He nodded. That's what they'll do if they find you. She looked down, her voice trembling. And you? Ryan gave a bitter smile. They'll call it contamination. Just then, the ship alarm screamed proximity warning. Incoming vessels. Ryan checked the scanner. 3 small alien interceptors closing fast. Karen's eyes widened. My people, she said in fear. They tracked us. Ryan's hands flew across the controls. Do they shoot first or talk first? She hesitated. They purify first? Ryan muttered under his breath. Of course they do. Lasers cut through the darkness. Flashing past the ship's hull, the Solace One shook violently. Lights flickering out. Karen grabbed the seat, whispering words in her language, a desperate prayer. Ryan fired thrusters, weaving between the blasts. But a plasma bolt hit their wing, spinning the ship sideways. They plunged into a nearby asteroid field, rock dust filling the void. Inside the cockpit, sparks rained down. Ryan gritted his teeth, steering manually. Hold on, he said. We're not done yet. Karen reached over, her fingers brushing his wrist, and in that instant, their minds locked again. He could feel her fear, her memories, her heartbeat pounding through his own. But along with fear came something else. Clarity. He saw the flight paths, the enemy's timing. The exact second to move, he didn't think, he just acted. The Solace One rolled through the debris, sliding between asteroids like a shadow. 2 interceptors collided, trying to follow. Shattering into light, the third fired a missile. Karen screamed as the explosion hit the ship's tail. The screen went dark, then everything stopped. When Ryan opened his eyes, they were floating inside a hollow asteroid. Half the ship wrecked. Alarm silent, he coughed, blood on his lips. Karen's hand was still gripping his, her glow flickering weakly. You flew like one of us, she whispered. Ryan smiled faintly. Maybe it's the bond. They sat in silence, the sound of their mixed heartbeats echoing faintly through the cabin. Finally, Karen spoke. You should leave me, she said quietly. They will not stop. They will hunt you because of me. Ryan shook his head slowly. I didn't walk through fire to drop you in the dark. She looked at him, eyes full of disbelief and something softer. Her voice was barely a whisper. Why would you do this? He thought for a long moment before answering. Because someone has to prove them wrong. Who? She asked. Everyone who says compassion has limits, he said. She turned away, her hand still trembling. You do not understand, she whispered. My people worship purity. They will destroy themselves before they accept this. Ryan looked out the window at the stars. Then maybe it's time someone showed them what real strength looks like. Hours later, the scanners picked up another signal. Not enemies this time, but human ships, a rescue fleet responding to his emergency beacon. Ryan smiled in relief, but Karen's face filled with fear. They will take you, she said. They will take me apart to study the link. Ryan hesitated. She was right. Both sides would see them as a threat, not a miracle. Before he could decide, the communication screen flashed to life. A voice crackled through. Commander Hale. You're alive. Ryan recognized it. Admiral Lorne, his superior. Sir, he said. I have a survivor. There was a pause, then a cold reply. Bring her in for quarantine, Commander. Do not attempt further contact. Karen's eyes filled with tears. Ryan looked between her and the screen, torn. The Admiral's voice hardened. That's an order. He muted the transmission. Silence filling the cockpit. Karen's voice was small, shaking. They will separate us. Ryan's jaw tightened. They'll try, he said quietly. She looked at him in shock. You would defy your own people. He gave a small smile. Already did. Outside, the human fleet approached. Lights cutting through the asteroid shadows. Inside, two beings sat side by side, one human, one alien bound by something stronger than fear, stronger than law. As the fleet surrounded them, Karen whispered, What will you do now? Ryan looked at her, eyes calm and steady. I'll do what I always do, he said. I'll protect the life I saved. The asteroid field glowed faintly under the light of distant suns. The Solace 1 floated broken and silent between the rocks. Its hull cracked, its engines dead. Ryan Hale sat in the cockpit, staring at the approaching human fleet. Their lights looked like a wall of judgment moving through the dark. Beside him, Karen whispered, They come to take us. Her voice trembled, her glow flickering weaker with every breath. The bond between them pulsed faster, unsteady. Ryan could feel her heartbeat stumbling inside his own chest. He opened a comm channel to the lead ship. This is Commander Hale, he said, requesting permission to dock for medical aid. The Admiral's voice answered, cold and sharp. Commander, you have violated containment protocols. Surrender your passenger immediately. Ryan's hands tightened on the controls. She's dying, he said. I won't hand her over to be dissected. Silence followed. Then the Admiral's final order. Then you are to be fired upon. Karen gasped as pain shot through the link. Her eyes wide. They will kill you for me. Ryan gave a tired smile. I've been killed before. He reached out and touched her hand. Hold on. The fleet's cannons charged. Lines of blue light cutting through the dark. Ryan hit every manual switch he had left. The ship groaned, sparks flying. Engines whining back to life, they surged forward, dodging through the asteroids. Laser fire chased them like burning rain. Rocks exploded, fragments slicing through the black. Inside the ship, alarm screamed. Karen pressed her hands against the console, her glow brightening. Energy rippled from her body into the ship's systems. The engines screamed louder, faster, stronger. Ryan glanced at her in shock. What are you doing? She winced. Giving you breath. Her light poured through the wires, her veins blazing white. The Solace 1 leapt ahead like lightning. The human ships fell behind, but new signals appeared ahead. Alien war cruisers. Karen's people, drawn by the same forbidden pulse. Ryan cursed under his breath. Perfect timing. The two fleets met in the middle of the asteroid field. Weapons flaring. Humans fired at aliens. Aliens returned fire at humans. And Ryan's small ship was trapped between them. Karen's voice echoed inside his mind. We must show them we live. Ryan nodded. Then we make them see. He turned the ship straight into the center of the crossfire. Energy blasts flashed past the cockpit. He opened the broadcast channel to every ship, human and alien alike. This is Commander Ryan Hale, his voice thundered through static. You want to kill us because we broke your laws, because we scared you. But we didn't destroy anything, we saved a life. He looked at Karen, who was now glowing like a star. And that life is worth more than your fear. The fleets paused, their guns still glowing. The channel filled with whispers and commands. Karen leaned forward. her voice soft yet echoing in every frequency. My people said purity was strength. Your people said fear was safety. Both were wrong. She took a deep breath, her light blazing across the dark sky. Life shared is never impure. It is sacred. A sudden shock wave rippled from their ship. The bond between them pulsed outward, a wave of energy spreading through space. Every sensor on every ship lit up, for a brief moment. Every living being who saw it felt a strange warmth in their chest, a heartbeat not their own. Ryan gasped. What's happening? Karen smiled weakly. They can feel us. The energy faded slowly, leaving silence behind. No one fired, no one moved. Only the hum of engines and the steady rhythm of two hearts beating as one. Then the alien flagship sent a signal, a single message on all channels. Cease fire! The human ships followed, their weapons dimming for the first time in years. Enemies shared silence instead of bullets. Inside the cockpit, Karen slumped forward, her glow fading fast. Ryan caught her before she fell. Hey, stay with me, he said. Her voice was faint. The bond took too much. Don't talk like that, he said quickly. You're going to make it. She smiled weakly. You gave me life. Now I return the breath. Before he could stop her, she pressed her hand to his chest. A wave of warmth flooded through him. Her light passed into his body. Spreading through his veins, he felt her heartbeat slow, then fade. Her body fell still, her glow dissolving into dust. Ryan screamed, pounding the console. Karen, no! Outside, both fleets watched as the small ship drifted silently, the energy that once glowed between them now fading into the stars. Then the monitors showed something impossible. Karen's energy still pulsing faintly within Ryan's body. Her life. Living through him, the Admiral whispered. What have we done? And from the alien ship came another voice, broken with grief. They showed us mercy. Ryan opened his eyes again, his chest still glowing faint blue. He looked out at the calm void and whispered, She's not gone. He touched the glass of the cockpit. She's still here. Outside, both human and alien ships turned away from battle. For the first time, they flew side by side. And somewhere deep in the quiet dark, the bond still pulsed softly. 2 lives, 1 breath, endless. Days turned into weeks. The story of the battle spread faster than light across the galaxy. It was no longer just about a human and an alien. It was about what they became. A single breath between 2 worlds. On Vera's capital moon, alien elders gathered under the silver banners of peace. Across from them stood the human admirals, proud but silent. No one spoke at first. They had fought for centuries, feared one another. Now they stood together because of one impossible act. The broadcast of the battle had reached every system. Billions had seen the moment when Ryan and Karen stopped a war with nothing but courage and light. And across every colony, one phrase began to echo. The bond lives on the deck of the Solace One, now repaired and resting above the new dawn of Serath. Commander Ryan Hale stood alone. He had changed. His eyes glowed faint blue. His veins shimmered faintly under his skin. Half human, half something else inside him. He could still feel her, faint, like a whisper in the wind when he closed his eyes. He heard her voice, keep breathing. Ryan Hale, he smiled softly. Still giving orders, he murmured. The ship hummed quietly as if answering. He had come to understand something Karen had tried to tell him. The bond was never meant to enslave or to own. It was meant to share. One morning, the Queen of Vera herself visited him. She stood before him on the command deck, her armor shimmering like water. You carry her light, she said. Ryan nodded. She's still with me. The Queen looked at him with deep respect. Then you carry hope for both our species. Together they looked out at the twin suns rising over the rebuilt cities. Alien children and human children played under the same sky. The first school for both races opened that day. Its name was simple, the Academy of Breath, where no one learned how to fight, only how to understand. Months passed. Ryan's ship became a symbol. Painted on banners across planets, he refused every medal. Every ceremony, he lived quietly, teaching others how to use empathy as strength. But across the galaxy, his story grew. Some said he was the first of a new kind, a bridge between souls. Others said he was still human, only carrying a piece of something greater. One night, as he stood on the balcony of the observatory, the stars shifted above him. For a moment, one star pulsed blue, bright, alive. He felt it inside him. A heartbeat that was not his. He whispered into the sky. Karen. And somewhere beyond space, her voice answered softly, always. The next morning, the humans and Varens signed the Treaty of Breath. No war, no borders, no walls between them again. Their fleets would serve together under one banner, guardians of the bond, and engraved on every ship were the same words Ryan had once spoken. Life shared is never impure, it is sacred, years later. When Ryan's body grew old and tired, he returned to the place where it all began, the rebuilt fields of Surath. The air was clean again, the soil alive. He walked alone until he reached the quiet memorial at the center of the valley. 2 statues stood there, one human, one alien, their hands almost touching, a small light glowing between their palms. Ryan knelt, his breath slow and peaceful. "I kept the promise," he whispered. The wind carried his words across the valley like a song. His heartbeat slowed, but before it faded, the light between the statues flared bright blue, and for one final moment he felt her. Karen's warmth, her laughter, her calm. Then there was silence. When the next generation visited the valley, they found the statues different. Now the 2 figures were touching hands, no gap, no space between them, and the flame between their palms never dimmed again. Across the stars, people still told their story. They said a human once walked through fire to save a dying alien, and together they saved everyone else. They said their bond became the first peace the galaxy had ever known, and every time a child was born on Vera or Earth, the healers whispered the same blessing: may your heart find its bond, and may your breath never be alone. Because the story of Ryan Hale and Karen was no longer a legend, it was a memory carried in every heartbeat, a reminder that humanity's greatest power was not war, not technology, not conquest. It was the simple, eternal truth that when all else burns away, we still reach out for one another, and somewhere in the quiet between the stars, 2 voices still breathe together. Forever bound beyond time, forever one.